did not see massive amount. Well, okay, not the Spirit Breaker is probably not true. The Elder Titan at least did not see a whole lot of attention in previous drafts.
No, and of course, it's a rough spot. It's a rough spot to be in. Usually, you want to pick up the Elder Titan in cases where the core hero is very immobile. It's fantastic versus heroes like the Medusa, just because you're not going anywhere. You're kind of staying in the same general vicinity, so stomping you is a relatively easy task. They do pick it up versus the Mars, and that's something, a strategy, I think, really way back when Mars almost first came out, first 3 months of the game back then, where Elder Titan was a relatively niche solution to the hero because suddenly you don't really want to be in your arena anymore. Suddenly, once you throw down that Elder Titan ultimate, then it's time to evacuate the Colosseum. But at the same time, the hero didn't see play for a kind of a very big reason. The Astral Spirit got nerfed so hard. It didn't matter how many heroes you ran it through. You just weren't getting nearly as much movement speed and damage as you were getting before. I think in the patch, maybe slightly tweaked up, but otherwise is relatively the same hero. Ags, whenever the hero is picked as an offlaner, still relatively strong, but not the best. It was really just about the Ags time and then getting level 20 in a pretty expedient fashion, so you have that 100% cleave. If it's an offlaner, we don't know yet. It could very well be, or we could be seeing the Spirit Breaker just slot in, which would definitely feel a little bit more normal, but at the same time, King of Kings have a whole bunch of 4 positions and 3 positions and not a whole lot of 5s. So I'm guessing we're either going to see the line get kind of shoved in there, or we could even see the Elder Titan shoved there just because their lanes feel a little bit awkward right now if they don't have a ranged 4 position.
Yeah, that's a little bit true. And I don't know. In the Elder Titan's favor, you've got heroes Lion Invoker and Spirit Breaker all capable of sort of getting into the fight with maybe a little bit of lockdown to help set up for that stomp play, but anytime you even sort of talk about trying to set up an Elder Titan for anything, I think you're already maybe going in the wrong direction, but at least you'll have a little bit more setup. The follow-up with the stomp into maybe the Earth Splitter is something that they can hit a little bit more frequently, but we'll have to wait and see. Meanwhile, on the Thunder Awaken side of things, the Snapfire getting picked up does kind of eliminate the potential for Matthew to play that Ember Spirit a second time. I don't really think that they'd be willing to switch it into a core role, so the Snap should hold on to that 4 position, which means the Ember presumably would then go mid against the Invoker.
Yeah, which honestly feels a little bit ugly. It feels not ideal. The only way that we're seeing another Matthew Ember Spirit is if it's going to be a Snapfire offlane, in which case Sacred's going to end up playing it, but I don't think you want that. I don't think you want a 4 Ember Spirit and a 3 Snapfire, just so that way your Mars can go mid versus an Invoker. In which case, I think Dark Mega will honestly struggle a little bit versus Mini. I think that lane can end up being bad versus Ember Spirit. It really kind of depends on how many EMPs you actually get clipped by. Once you hit 6, things kind of level out, but at the same time, you're always kind of on the back foot. And then once you get a BKB, then everything changes. Then Invoker feels horrible versus Ember Spirit, but you still need to get there. And that's where King of Kings, slotting in their carry, Clinks.
Alright. That's a bit of an interesting one. This is a little bit of maybe a Benny special. He is, well, something of a Clinks player in times past, has sort of backed off the hero, obviously, in more recent times, but I now have kind of massive concerns, ET, about King of Kings. Who is actually their frontliner? I mean, if a Spirit Breaker is the best you've got, I don't know how tanky he's going to be, all things considered, and now with the Clinks, your lineup's even more vulnerable to any lockdown that Thunder Awaken can throw at you.
And really, Clinks he had his talents reworked a little bit. They got moved around. They got slightly changed numbers-wise, but other than that, Burning Barrage got better. The channel time got reduced, but that's it. Clinks is still Clinks, so I'm a little bit concerned. I'm interested to see how he interacts with the new jungle creeps. If there's, maybe the pine cone is just huge, and then you eat the pine cone, and then suddenly you get another 25 damage from your Death Pact. But at the same time, I am definitely a little bit concerned. I'm kind of trying to think, oh, this is they've made this a really rough Clinks game. Uh-oh.
There is going to be zero room for the Clinks to breathe there. The second he shows himself, you're going to get pulled in. You're going to get stunned up or rooted repeatedly, and I mean, Benny needs himself a BKB pretty quickly, but if he goes straight BKB, then how much damage is he going to be able to throw out?
No, yeah, they are completely reliant on doing well in their side lanes and then kind of just going from there. I think yet again, Thunder Awaken have amassed a lineup that feels like everyone can show up to these engagements. Everybody's coming to these fights. Matthew's on the Ember Spirit again. Dark Mago's on the Mars again, and of course talked about how the Ember versus Invoker lineup's not that good. Well, Mars can definitely do a little bit better. You're still going to get mana drained. It's still going to be obnoxious, but you're probably going to see him peak into the double digits deny-wise just because you have, I think, another 15 damage on top of the Invoker. So laning early on is definitely a little bit of a struggle, especially for Mini, but that's where as soon as the lane is over, there's going to be this kind of game of cat and mouse that comes out where you have to avoid Dark Mago in his Colosseum while still making plays across the map and then not dying on the Invoker. It's going to be an interesting song and dance because without that space, the entire lineup falls apart for King of Kings.
That's a lot to ask out of Mini, right? You need to farm well, you need to avoid any deaths, you need to be making rotations, but you need to make sure none of those rotations ever miss their mark. I mean, that's... You're basically telling him, hey, for the first 15-20 minutes of this game, we need you to play the perfect game. And if he does so, I mean, more power to him, and he is absolutely capable of doing that. But it is going to be a tough task for him. That's not even taking into account the fact that you've got a Thunder Awaken squad on the other side who are going to be very much invested in making sure the Invoker does not get those opportunities to have that kind of impact early.
Yeah, and that's where, in that hypothetical I proposed, that's not with them coming mid. That's with them ignoring him or trying to make plays in other areas. But if the focus ever does come towards Mini and they recognize that if they take him off the map, well, suddenly you're not looking too scary, then this game could get very, very difficult very quickly, and we could see a very similar kind of spell play out as it did in the first game. But that's where got to get that game out of your heads if you're King of Kings. You've got the Clinks, you've got a lot of comfort heroes for your players here. Now you just need to execute.
And I just point out here for that Elder Titan, you see Sarem, he went straight for boots. Boots and nothing else. So, well, feels like you don't go boots first on a support unless you're looking to do some hitting early on. So, we'll see what opportunities he gets. This is a nice little sort of wraparound near the tier 1 tower. The problem is there's no one here. Thunder Awaken have all just sort of cleared out. They're looking for the runes. They don't want any early fight. So, not going to see any sort of repeat of the previous game where the squads were willing to trade a little bit of damage around those first rune spawns. This time, it's all about just setting up the lanes.
And, of course, no shenanigans. Everything is just going to level out here. I think this top lane should be relatively normal. I think that one of the more interesting aspects that could come into play is whether or not Hannes goes for more levels up in the mana drain than we typically see, just because of how reliant both Panabu and Pikas are for their spells, and they are going to be pretty heavy magic casters here, despite them both being strength heroes. At the same time, if Dunha kind of, just does Spirit Breaker things, the hero still does a ton of damage, is still incredibly hard to poke out, is just a really good base hero. I mean, he's at 840 HP already, and he barely has any stats.
He is going to be relatively tanky. Speaking of, or maybe the opposite of being tanky, Sarem, maybe now regretting ever so slightly that boots only build. He gets punished pretty early on, and the regen is pretty limited for him, so if he can get the hits in, fine, but now he's not in a position where he can afford to trade. If he pushes forward, Sacred and Matthew could punish him, especially with Sacred getting so close to level 2. You really can't be there anymore. You're one cookie stun away from just getting taken down.
Oh, and does Matthew get him with the slight? Oh, that would be huge, but it looks like he will be able to sidestep the Ember Spirit, but at the same time, they're...
Benny's alone under tower. Maybe if those Searing Chains connected, I don't know. That's still a decent amount of health you'd have to break through. But now Matthew is going to take a decent bit of damage for this as punishment as Sarem's coming back in. This is the problem with this lane a little bit, actually more than a little bit. They don't have any actual lockdown. So when this happens, what can Sarem do? He goes for the punches. That's really the only option he had, but you don't have level 2, so there's not even really the possibility of a stomp to break that up. You just have to fight your way through it, and as we just saw, they aren't going to be able to do that all that often.
Yeah, and of course, you are going to be able to bring the supplies over. Surem can refill Benny a little bit in that respect, but at the same time, this lane doesn't get easier for you, as soon as there are more points up in the chain, it only gets more and more simple for them to get on top of you, and the trades just aren't going their way.
What's Benny doing last hit was not good. 7 last hits on the board, 12 and 3 for Sacred, so normally that would be the sort of silver lining we'd be looking at, right? You gave up first blood, but you can still farm this lane. So far, it's not going to be that simple. Benny's going to have to work for it, and well, we saw the last time around, his farm gets slowed up just that little bit, and it snowballed into, well, absolute disaster. Obviously, there was more steps in the process than just Benny not getting a lot of farm, but the point still stands. If you're King of Kings, you need to be very much wary of how these lanes go for you.
Definitely so, and you don't want to end up in a situation where your invoker has to save you. Your invoker has to fix something, and well, that's a lot of damage. They need a second sentry though, and they don't have it.
Okay. Good play from Benny to avoid that one, but up in the top lane, Ane gets taken down. Pekkas and Panda push in for the kill. Dunha tried to charge his way forward, hoping to create a distraction, but it's not going to be enough, so Thunder Awaken with a second kill. Meanwhile, back down bot, wanted to check in just a moment there as Matthew was sort of going for a bit of a drive-by. Doesn't commit fully for it, though. So, not going to have the fight there, but across the side lanes, that pressure is starting to be applied, and, well, this is not the area King of Kings want to fall behind in at this point in the game.
No, definitely not, and again, it's just the waves. The waves are out of control, and sure, things are kind of coming into fruition for you, but at the same time, it's the little tick-ups. They're finding the targets that they need to play on. I think that they're getting away with a little bit too much, and I don't know if they kill Surem here, but they sure are going to make this trade hurt. Oh, what a dodge.
Matthew just styling on his opponents. He did just lose his teammate, though, and
Surem's fine.
yeah, he's going to walk away. Boots pay off. Well, I say that. Hold on a second. Sleight of Fist is up now, but he really can't close the gap. So Surem should be able to get himself out of this one, and well, that's a very nice play. Honestly speaking, it kind of seemed like they were dead to rights there, but Sacred just can't get far enough away to avoid getting killed off there as that courier flying through dangerous territory, but Benny is able to redirect it, but now they should know that the Elder Titan is no longer in this lane, so Benny's just got to kind of back off a little bit, because if they spawn him out underneath that sentry ward, look at Matthew. He is literally standing guard. He goes in for the Searing Chain. Sacred follows it up with a Cookie Stun, and Benny gets taken down.
Yeah, that's just incredibly patient. And also, Hannes is getting maybe killed. Oh, that was so well
that was
played.
Big. Dunha able to save the day, and now Panda, he doesn't have the damage to do this by himself. Even if the shield pops right now, I think Hannes will survive it. So now, they actually do this. They're going to turn, they get the stun. Surem's coming in for the extra right-click damage, and they needed that bash. They're going to be able to get it. RNG works in their favor, and well, that did not seem the way that that one was going to go. Initially, it really did seem that that line was just straight up dead, but Dunha is able to sort of turn that situation around, gets his teammates a couple of kills, but it comes at a bit of a cost elsewhere on the map. They know the two supports rotated top, so Matthew was able to go mid with impunity, and Mini was not ready for the 2v1.
No, that was really well played from Dark Mego as well. As soon as he hits level 6, just immediately goes for it, and then Matthew is there with the chains follow-up. Without it, I don't think they have nearly enough damage, but it's just unfortunate. They're definitely losing heroes across the map a little bit, as well as Benny. He's got a full stick. He will stick up to half HP, but always under threat. Always needs to be concerned just until you hit that Dark Pact. Oh.
Yep. Elder Titan getting caught out. Dark Mego does reveal himself with that invis, so I think they would have preferred to be able to get all the way in onto Benny there, but you still get a kill, and that was a scenario, actually, it was kind of interesting from Thunder Awaken. They delay that long enough because Dark Mego, he got actually hit by the scan, moving into the south side jungle, but they waited long enough where I think Surem just kind of assumed that that was the other support, not the mid laner rotating in, so you stagger the movement a little bit, they're still able to get in there to find the kill, and for Mars, 1 kill, 1 assist, looking pretty good there net worth-wise. He's sitting in the top 4, so This middle lane, I mean, it really has not been all that dominant for Mini. He's doing fine, but he's not exactly stopping Dark Mago in terms of the early progression.
Yeah, and well, Penny, that's super unfortunate. Sacred hits level 6 in the tree line. He doesn't let his opponents know, and then suddenly you're getting kissed on. And he turned around, tried to get the death pack before he went down, but just didn't work out. And okay, TP in, Matthew.
Well, he's gonna get hit by the stun.
Okay.
We'll take him down. Sacred, this is a little greedy. He was trying to get in range for the scatter, but once the Hex gets applied, he's got to back himself away, and that turns into a trade. The problem is, it's a trade that costs them Benny again. Second death for the Clinks, but Stomp clips Sacred. Doesn't have enough mana to cookie himself out of here. He will now with the stick, but is that enough? Sarem, if he kept on going, maybe got 1 or 2 more hits in, but the tower shots are going to prevent him from making the play-in once again. The second Thunder Awakens see that the supports have both rotated. They go mid, they get Mini.
Yep, it's just like clockwork, and they're shutting down the hero they need to, which is not a good sign, because as soon as he starts falling behind, then it's going to end up being, I feel like, almost like a farm battle, but you saw what happened last time, and Matthew just sniped out again. He's just a monster, absolutely, on the Ember Spirit. There's just not much these supports are able to do versus this Ember. And Benny, oh, he's farming up a big old stack, but I think Sacred's looking for a piece of the pie, and he's got it for sure.
Stole quite a bit of that one, and now Matthew, he wanted to go in. He's got dust, but at that point, you're not 100% sure. If you pop that dust, it may not hit, and then you're just kind of sitting there awkwardly. But this is going to get a little bit awkward as well. Sacred stunned up. Sarev's going to come in for the stomp, and they should have Sacred here. He's going to try to at least make this a trade as he's going after Hane. He doesn't get the kill. Matthew will. But now, Matthew doesn't have any mana to jump to that Remnant. He needs to pop the wand if he wants to be able to, but even with that, there's a charge coming directly onto him. So, how does he navigate this one? I'm not even sure he knows this is coming just yet, so he may stick in the tree line. He's going to go for the TP out. The Stomp is going to be there to cancel it. Now Dunhao finally makes himself known. And Matthew does get taken down, but in that scenario, I think they were just fortunate to get the one kill that they got. Other than that, you were sort of trapped. Okay, Dark Mago. That's awkward. Now he's going to get punished for it. Whipping on the ult. Dunhao hits him up with another strike into the Earth Splitter. This is going to be the Mars taken down. That's just, I don't know. Just a weird play for him to try and make. Doing a little bit too much there. He's going to get punished thoroughly, and Panda wanders in to try and save his teammate. He may be in trouble here as well. I don't think that Ice Wall hit him, so he should be able to walk away. And now they're going to turn. They've got Matthew coming in after Sacred pops the ult, and when everyone overextends, nobody does, ET. I don't really know what to tell you on that one.
Yeah, just kind of a requiem of misplays. Everyone just kind of filters in. They all walk past each other. And I feel really bad for Pandaboo, if anyone. He was so set up for trying to make some cool play with the Abaddon, especially just hovering around the Ember Spirit's Remnant in case he was going to come back. But all's well that ends well. They get the kill. They get an immediate return with the Mortimers. It's honestly perfect for them, and it's the third death of the Invoker. So we'll have to see. Again, he's not doing poorly. He just has had to focus so heavily on his lane, while Dark Mago has just made progress in every other way. And he's going for a Midas on the Invoker. Doesn't want to get kind of caught behind the rest of his teammates, but I really just want to see him make that rotation towards the Snapfire's lane and just have it work out. That would feel the best right now for King of Kings. I feel like they can snowball just a little bit. But Sacred's killing this bot tower. And unfortunately, Doonhop just doesn't have enough in him to defend it.
Now his priority has to actually just be getting out of here. He's going to make his way through the tree line. But here comes Matthew. There's going to be the root with the Searing Chains. They've got him locked down. He could try to charge away. He'll do exactly that. And you saw... Ooh. Oh, Sleight of Fist almost brought him down, but you saw he delayed that just a little bit longer, even after the Searing Chains wore away, just to make sure he was going to be able to knock everyone back, and... oh, he lives. Gets himself out on a sliver of HP, had like 30 health remaining, but it does still force your Spirit Breaker back to the base, so they know he's not going to be on the map for a little while at least. The question is, if you're Thunder Awaken, can you actually make a play in that time frame? They're sort of eyeing up the river right now. Matthew's going to go in. There's going to be the Searing Chains into the arena. The Spear Stun comes through, and Hane should just die to the arena damage. Nope, okay. But Dark Mego comes in to finish it off. Rebuke is there for the kill. Now what else do they want? Sacred, he was channeling out the ult for a moment. He's going to stop that to go for the cookie stun into the spear. And Mini gets taken down. King of Kings, this is not the scenario you want to be in. They are backing themselves away. They've lost too much here already. Just got to surrender control of the area. Only the glyph really preventing their opponents from immediately pushing onto that tier 1 tower.
Nope, it's highly unfortunate, and is that what I think it is? That's Dark Mago's blank already.
Whoa.
Oh my goodness. Is what happens when you don't skip a beat on this hero. Every single arena has come up with something, and now that the Spearbreaker has rotated out of his own lane, you look at the Chaos Knight, and Pekaz is incredibly farmed as well. He already has his Armlet, he's already working towards his Echo Saber. Then we're going to start seeing him get involved. They're not even playing their full 5-man yet, something that they've drafted for. And again, trying to dodge out the EMP, but it doesn't matter.
Sarem gets taken down. Cookie gets Dark Mago out from the ice wall, but he's still hexed, and there's the Finger of Death. Is it enough? No, but Dunhal charges in. Spear knocks him back, but not before he gets the damage. Dark Mago taken down. This fight's getting very strange, though, as Matthew's just wreaking havoc on the backline. Takes down one, looks for the other, as Dunhal will fall. Panda does get cleaned up as Benny finally sort of joins this fight, but now it's actually a little bit awkward. Sacred has pretty much run out of abilities to use here. He's trying to wait, doesn't want to pop the wand just yet. But now there's trouble. The Elder Titan TPing in if he could somehow connect with the stomp. Okay, he does get it. The cookie actually doesn't push him far enough, but does he now have the damage to do this by himself? It's looking like a no at the moment, and now you need to be careful. TP from Pekaz wants to get himself involved. That fight, though, not breaking out in time as up in the... well, back in the mid lane, I guess. Matthew jumps in onto Benny. Benny...
oh, no.
what is going on here? They're just splitting up way too far cross-map here as Dunhal is going to go in for the Nether Strike. We'll be able to find the kill on the Sacred, but now they have to deal with an angry Chaos Knight who has reinforcements coming. They're looking for the cutoff angle. Dark Mago blinks in, goes for the Rebuke, slowing down both of those heroes. Didn't get the spear off before he was hexed, but he will go for it now. Doesn't connect, but now Matthew's going to get involved. Jumping forward, looking for the Searing Chains. Might not even need them, actually. Just gets body blocked in a corner. Who needs a stun when you can just do that? But I don't know, ET. It looked really good for them at the start to avoid, oh boy, to avoid those fights as Dark Mago's going to go in again looking for Mini. But after they avoid the first engagement, they just split way too far. Mini sort of encapsulating that as he's alone in the middle lane after seeing what was going down in his own south side jungle. Just really not showing enough respect to Thunder Awaken's ability to get onto these heroes quickly. And they might be going for even more. Searing Chains onto Sarem. This fight literally will not end. As Sarem's taken down, calling it a fight might be a little bit generous. This is just a series of pickoffs now as Benny, think about the consequences of your actions. Gonna get hit up by the dust, trying to get himself away. There's gonna be the Mortimer Kisses, though. Consequences. As Benny... oh, the siren song of the ancient stack. He wanted it so damn bad, ET, but not only does he now give it up, he dies in the process as well.
And they're going to have to work tooth and nail as Pekaz gets a solo kill on Dunha in the bottom lane. They lose the stack. They lose heroes again. It's just... no,
Mini.
Stop.
He's going to get hit up here. Spear stun comes through. Just... King of Kings, guys, just take a minute.
99 gold. Do you know how little gold that is? And it just doesn't feel right now like King of Kings can do anything. They need to wait. They need Finger. They need an opportunity. They have the Shadow Blade on Dunha. They have damage, but they need to find the right target. Problem is the target's not Matthew. Matthew is I want to say the third highest level in the game with the Yule Scepter. They are just running out of targets right now, and that's the big problem. Who do they actually kill? Is it Sacred? Is it Dark Mago? And it looks like, okay, they will get Dark, but...
finally picked a target. Once they focus all their firepower down, yeah, they can find that kill, and now they can try to go for more. Dunhal pushing his way in. Cookie is going to push Matthew away, though. That buys some time, but now he wants back in. They're looking for Benny, trying to bring him down. Haven't gotten him just yet, but now with Pekaz blinking in, yeah, Benny's taken down. Dunhal falling as well. Mini and Sarem just desperately trying to get away. I'm not sure they're going to be able to track down both. That's a nice deafening blast. The problem is, it keeps him in range for the Yule Scepter. Mini gets locked down, taken out. Hane's going to get nuked to hell as well. And And even when things look like they're going right for the side of King of Kings, it very rapidly shifts. 4 dead for 1 kill into Dark Mago, and they just
Wow.
call it. Damn. 17 minutes on the GG. King of Kings have had enough.
And I mean, we know, we've seen these guys before. We know who Thunder Awaken are. We know that they're really good, but that was just too much. And I mean, Matthew, are people gonna ban Ember Spirit first? Like, what do you do now? I mean, that was just the most convincing Ember Spirit 4 position I've like ever seen. I feel like he didn't do anything wrong, or nor did we feel the weaknesses of having a 4 position as your Ember Spirit. Like, it just felt like everything kind of came to fruition there. And I mean, it's not 42-6, but it could have gotten there. That's for certain.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I said when we saw it in game 1, it's a bit of a throwback, but people, I guess, kind of forgot. Matthew is a god tier Ember Spirit. It just stopped happening because position 4 Ember Spirit stopped being a thing, but if they're bringing it back now, you have to be afraid, and yeah, maybe you do actually have to use an early ban on that Ember Spirit, because I mean, obviously he wasn't the only one responsible for making a lot of those plays, but it seemed like every time there was a big fight or a play where they massively caught someone out of position, you saw Matthew just getting that angle to cut off the escape and was constantly setting it up.
Yeah, and man, he feels like the punching bag of the team a little bit, but Dark Mega does such a good job at just holding it down, just being there when he needs to. He's the main person who died in the 46-6 game or whatever it was. He was like half the deaths, you know. He's willing to die in the forward position if it means that his allies can definitely pick up the slack. And I think that's where having players like Picaz and Matthew, I think the reason they GG out in that second game is just because you look at Picaz's health bar, you see how much health he has at 17 minutes, and then you say, yeah, it's over. The CK has 3,000 HP, we lose. There's nothing we can do. And I think King of Kings, again, just kind of drafted themselves into a corner. They didn't have enough damage. I think they picked heroes that they thought on paper would be good, but then in just reality, they kind of ended up outclassed yet again. Very unfortunate game, but Thunder Awaken, they're scary. They're scary lads.
Yeah, I mean, there was a brief moment on the pro circuit where they kind of maybe fell off a little bit from what we might have been expecting from them, but they come back in this event with some pretty solid showings so far across their first 2 series of this event, and they are really in the mix. They've got a lot of their schedule left to play. As I said, they've only played 2 series out of 8? 8. Yeah, that's right. I can do math. So still plenty of time, but they start off strong, get points on the board, already sort of making a leap up those standings. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, King of Kings trending in the opposite direction a little bit. They've played almost all of their schedule. I think they have 2 series remaining in this group stage. So it's not that they're doing bad. They've got, I think, 5 or 6 points on the board. The problem is, if you're that first team to finish your schedule, it's always kind of awkward, because then you just sit there and you wait to see if anyone passes you up, knowing you don't really have any games left to play to get any points back. So this was not ideal for them, obviously. Kind of unexpected almost that they get this significantly outplayed so quickly, but I think we can cut them a little bit of slack, considering this was the first day of a new patch. They come to this with the new jungle, the new items, hero changes, etc. So everybody kind of has an off day, and this day in particular makes a lot more sense for a team to fall flat a little bit.
Yeah, and of course, that is what sets apart a team in a tier, is just how fresh they can be, how quickly they can adapt. Of course, don't feel like Thunder Predator really changed all too much when it comes to the patch, aside from this Matthew Ember Spirit that they're blindsiding people with. But the teams that can recognize what actually matters, especially looking back at the patch, going forward is just the key component. And I think that's something that Thunder Awaken just does very, very naturally.
Yeah, there's a reason why they're one of the sort of clear-cut top teams in South America. They have that consistency. So congratulations to them. That was our final game of the day. All 3 series today have been 2-0 sweeps, so no splits on the schedule there. And with that being said, we are done. So we're going to be shutting things down here in just the next couple of minutes. We will be back tomorrow. Same start time at 1 p.m. Pacific time for another trio of best of 2s. But for now, We are going to be hopping out of here. Before I go, do want one last time. I know it's been several hours now, but apologies one last time for the technical difficulties in Game 1. Hopefully they've been sorted out. I know I've said that before, and it hasn't always been the case, but this time, this time I mean it, hopefully. Dear God. Again, apologies. We do the best with what we can get. Hopefully tomorrow there is no issue. So, thank you all for watching. We will see you tomorrow for some more Pro Series action. Good night.